Hi, this is Joe Bolen, and today we're going to continue on our series of our text editor project, learn how to program in VisualBasic.net. Well, before we get started, let's take a look at where our code is stored for this exercise so you can go out and study the code and maybe bring it into your own as you're developing your own text editor. The code is located at pastebin.com/u/jboh, and there you'll find the code for this particular video segment, as well as code for other projects that I've developed and put out on YouTube. Also, you'll see the link to YouTube where you'll see my VisualBasic.net series, and our main form for the text editor link is also shown to go out to Imgur to see that main form, so that if you're developing your own, you can use it as a guide for developing your own program. So if you'd like to, pause your video at this point in time and write down the links, and then you can go out later on after the video to study the code and understand in more detail how I did the project. Let's go now into our project. I have Visual Studio up and running, and I have the Windows Designer showing. And what we have here highlighted right now is the Format menu option off our menu tool strip. In our Format menu option, we have the word wrap, where we can toggle it on or off, and also we have the font dialog that we're going to be introducing. Now, the font dialog will appear when we click on the font, and the three little ellipses, or three little periods, or the ellipsis, is to indicate to the user that there is more that the user will have to input into this, and in fact, we'll have the font dialog box appear. So now let's bring in, with the .NET framework, our font dialog box. So I'm going to go to the toolbox. I'm going to quickly pin it so it's easier to work with. And you'll see in the dialog section there are a number of dialog boxes, and we're going to bring in the font dialog. Now, I could drag and drop it onto the window, and that would be one way, but it will end up down here in the component tray. So I'm just going to double click on the font dialog. And now I've got it in the component trail. I'm done with the toolbox at this point. And so we have that. Let's take a real quick look at the properties of the font dialog. You'll see a number of them. And I recommend you go out to Microsoft Development Network and take a look at the different properties and methods that are related to the font dialog, so that you'll take advantage of knowing how to code this and make it a more robust tool for your coding. Now, let's go into the code itself. And so we can concentrate on our format word wrap and font area. You'll see that right now we're in the region section for the format menu. And once again, the region key area here is only to group our code to make it easier to work with and see. And you'll see that I have collapsed other menu options now to hide them from my view, so I can concentrate on the format menu options that I'm going to be working with. We have two procedures that will be running. With the word wrap tool strip menu item click event, we'll code the information we need for the changing word wrap on or off. And then also we have the font we're going to deal with, and we'll bring up the font dialog box when we click on the font tool strip menu item click event from their tool strip. So let's replace the code we have here with the code that will make it come alive and work on that. So I'm going to delete this out, and then I'm going to reintroduce the code necessary for this one. I'm going to paste it in. Okay, let's take a look now at the code for this. For the word wrap, when we come in, what I'm doing is taking the property of the menu text box, or I should say my text box, and I'm changing it by using a toggle of whatever it was, it'll be now the opposite, with the not keyword in front of this. So this is a quick way to toggle things back and forth when you code things in your program. Now, if I have that set, I also want to set the checkbox in front of the word wrap to indicate it's on or off. And so I take the property, which is word wrap, it's true, brings back a Boolean value, true or false, and then I'm setting the check property on the tool strip so that I can see whether I have it turned on or off. So these two are key for the process here. And then I'm going to actually modify my text box so that based off if the word wrap is on or off, I'll put in the scroll bars. Now, if the word wrap is on, I'll just have the vertical scroll bar. If it's off, I want to have both the vertical and the horizontal scroll bars, because what will happen is my code will go very far to the right, and I'll need to scroll over to the right to see the code. So this codes in very quickly the word wrap possibilities into this code. Now let's go look at the part dealing with the font. The font dialog box has a number of properties that we want to deal with. And one of the things I want to do is allow the user to change the color of the font itself. And then I'm going to allow also the ability to apply it within the actual dialog box instead of exiting out and evaluating whether I've hit the OK button or not. So if the person does click the apply button, that's now going to be coded into the font dialog box by setting it to true, we'll take an action and do the changes right away. Now, as we go into the font dialog box, we want to set the properties to the current values of what is in the text box. So the font will be my text box font, and the color that we're going to introduce as a property will be my text box for color. So we initialize the information prior to bringing up the text box. At this point, we issue the font dialog show dialog method, and if the person clicks OK and we get an OK result, then we're going to change the values from the font dialog to change it for the text box itself. So coming back in, I reverse the procedure that I have up above, and I now set my text box font to whatever the dialog font was set at, and I set the text box for color of the font to the color that was set in the dialog box. Now remember, I had also a show apply, and so down below here I have another routine for when the font dialog apply event is clicked on. And here once again I do the exact same thing that I'm doing through here when the apply button is clicked. Now, one way to get to this is to come up to your coding area, and you can hit the drop down and scroll down till you hit the font dialog. And once you hit font dialog here, you can see I have a number of options and events I can work with, and I'm clicking on the apply event, and that takes me to this code. So basically we can apply things right away with having the apply button set by making it true before we go into it. And if somebody clicks on the apply button, we're going to issue this routine. And then also if we hit OK out of the font dialog box, we're going to come on out on this. So let's run the code and see it actually work. Okay, we've got our text editor up. Let's bring in some code. So I'm going to go out to my area here, and I think I'll bring in my Man of La Mancha quotes. And there we have the quotes in here. And we're coming in with our default font that we had set on our text box originally. Now let's try our format menu. First of all, let's try the word wrap. I'm going to click on it, and now things should change. But it doesn't, because this particular one does not have a lot of code to it, and there's carriage returns at each end. So we don't see a change with word wrap here. I'll bring in another document in a minute. We'll see that. Now let's take a look at the font itself. Come down to the font, hit this one, and our font dialog box comes up. I think I'm going to pick for this one a Lucinda type Calibri. There we go. I'm going to take italic, and let's make this 18 point. And I'm going to change the color from black to a nice blue. and I can hit apply. Now watch, because I have the apply button true, I can apply it right now, and I'll go into that section of the code where I coded for the apply button. And there it changed. Also, I could change it to something else and hit the OK button or apply again. I sort of like blue though myself, so I'll hit apply and we'll hit OK. And we've now changed our code on this. So you see how the FontDialog works. It's very simple and nice on that, and it's not too hard to code. Remember, you need to bring into your program, before you start, the component for this one. And I just want to remind you, we brought in the FontDialog component, and then in the code we actually set the information for this one. Now let me show you that word wrap. I'm going to bring in another document again. It's a little bit bigger, and we'll take a look at it in detail here. Let's bring in, I'm going to bring in the quick brown fox. Okay, we've got that in there. It's much longer. Now let's see that word wrap up here. So I'm going to hit Format, Word Wrap, and toggle it off. And you'll see now it looks much different on that. And I also have my horizontal scroll bar, and I can come across on that. So you'll see there is a difference when we have the word wrap on or off. And once again, we'll see the font area, and I can change that to something that I might want, like maybe I'll go with Vermont. And I'll go with a maybe 14 point, and let's make this a nice navy color, and I'm going to hit OK. And so we can change things in that. Remember though, the carriage return line feed is normally appears at the end of a paragraph, but sometimes it appears at the end of every line. And you saw with the other one, I had the carriage return line feed at the end of each line. So when I hit the word wrap, it didn't make any difference. But here we see the difference occurring. Some people like the word wrap on, some don't, but we give the user the option of which they like. So we're moving right along in our project. I encourage you to go out to pastebin.com, take a look at the code, bring in the FontDialog. It's very easy to use. You do have the option whether to turn on or off the apply button by setting its dialog box property to true or false. And if you do turn it on, you'll want a code for the apply buttons event that goes with the dialog box. So you'll do the same thing as if you had clicked OK on the FontDialog box. But it'll give the option to allow the user to apply the change, see it before they exit out of the dialog box that way, which I like myself. Well, get your hands dirty in the code, try out this code, learn how to use it, and go out to Pastebin, take a look. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate seeing that. Until next time, take care.